Alright, we're gonna have to get to it. I'm in my Thunderer today, and this is one of these games where very exciting things happen around you. You're not necessarily the driver of those exciting things, but if you were not there, then those exciting things would not happen. I'm on Atlantic, and my goal here was to try to take up more or less a central position, F8 or so that I could crossfire down 2-3 lines if needed, and also hit anybody coming into B, but also have some cover on C. It's one of these games where I realized we won only after the credits were displayed, because I was almost sure that this was a loss, and it literally comes down to the last second. Slowly creeping up on this area, and I was going to try not to commit to go with either the east or west flanks and just see what happens. And this game is going to be played this way. I'm just going to sit here and watch things happen around me. It's very exciting. By no stretch of the imagination do I carry the game, but I think if I wasn't there, it would have been a loss. Our Sherman does an amazing job, so props out to him. I wish I had AP loaded for that Mino, so I switch, which only takes about 10 seconds. And I'm thinking, if you can take out a Mino early on, then that's success, but he knows what he's doing, so he's slowed down, turned in, and I miss by many ship lengths. But this is where you're looking for that player to turn back in and then continue committing to the position he wanted to select for himself in the first place. When you make people turn in and stop, you're disrupting their plans a little bit, and you're making them vulnerable to others' fire. So just because you miss doesn't mean others won't miss. I did hit him there, and of course he goes into smoke. There's no radar around there, so he's gonna be a pain in the ass until the end of the game. This Kurfürst is gonna be all over the map, and we'll have a very close contact with him towards the end of the game. But that was an 18k salvo. It's a 20k. It's pretty good. I wouldn't have been able to get a 20k salvo if I had HE loaded. So sometimes Thunder RP does wonders if you manage to hit the right part of the ship, like the upper belt, and you get those full pens. But I switched to HE because I thought, it's good to force him to damage con. It's good to farm a little bit of damage, but you're always wanting to farm damage in a way that pressures the enemy players to either use their consumables or disengage. Because he doesn't have great turret angles, so as soon as he angles, he's probably going to either be sacrificing his front or rear turrets. So we're in C really comfortably, and we're not in A, and they're pushing A, but you could kind of see that we're making a bigger push in C than they are in A. There's that Z in A that they have, and we've basically given up on A. But this map is really interesting because sometimes you get these games where the gameplay is really all about the center of the map, and people take up positions on either side and vie for the center. So I get focused a little bit on this Buffalo here, and I'm thinking, can I take a good shot? My experience with Buffalo players is that they're often a little worried that their ship is so fragile, which it is, and they don't quite have the comfort that a Des Moines has at this matchmaking. And so they wind up being very skittish, and often they, in an effort to reposition and an effort to get to safety, they open up broadsides and then they get deleted. And so right now this buffalo is fine. He has, maybe the Worcester has some shots on him, but he's okay where he is. But he's gonna do the wrong thing and open himself up to fire. This Mecklenburg, shoot at him a little bit, why not? He's outnumbered there by our forces, but there's not a lot of heavy firepower in actual sea. There's Worcester, he's doing a good job hugging islets, but see, here's the buffalo. Why is he raging into sea? This is unnecessary. He's gonna get focused, he's gonna die. He doesn't have the armor, he doesn't have the hit points. And so he commits, and then he decides this is a bad idea, so let's just turn out. Okay, honk boy. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, and there he goes. So here I'm holding my shot, and the idea is once he comes around, because he has to, he's not going to ground on the island. I can get maybe a couple of citadels, but sometimes the random number generation sampling isn't in your favor, and so you get a bunch of overpens, but he goes down. So at this point, we're 3 ships down to their 1, and it definitely looks like a loss. At least that's what I thought. And notice there's a storm coming in, and that's going to completely change the dynamics of the game, as storms do. The idea is, in a storm, what you don't want to happen is you don't want people to be sailing in one at a time into the enemy's detection, to be focused, and to be killed. The Kurfürst keeps coming back. He's neither here nor there. He's not a great long-range sniper, and he's not brawling, so he's kind of floating in the middle, not really committing one way or another. In a way, much like me, but I'm a little bit of a better sniper as a ship than he is. Always try to take some pot shots with HE at ships, try to set them on fire, try to get them to think whether they should use up their consumables. And this Kurfürst is interesting because he'll have this way of showing broadside, I guess, to bring his turrets to bear, and it's when you can get better salvos onto him. And as the storm starts to come in, you'll see us kind of huddle in B and try to spot as many ships as possible as they sail in. There's the Mino. He just showed up outside of A, and I seem to be in the way of traffic in this game a lot, but I hope I didn't force that buffalo to be out of position and get killed, but there's not much I could do there. And he knew I was here. Notice our Sherman has no kills yet, but he's going to have, I believe by the end of the game, 5 kills. So we're down 6 ships to their 1. And so the Sherman on his own will even out the odds. It's half the game in, I have 100k, and the enemy could have won this, but they do, I think, misplay more than we misplay. And you know, everybody's responsible for good plays and for bad plays, and sometimes you do in a game both. I started the game not being very assertive, but if a win is what you want, then I think I did the right thing. But if heroics is what you want, then I don't think I did the right thing. And often heroics and wins, when they go together, they're amazing to watch. But often you pick one. So what's happening is here is you could kind of see by the position of the last position of ships, they're kind of coming into be, and so are we. And the Monty here, I think, misplays. I think he pushes into B too much, because remember, this is a 8K detection, so he's going to be seen by ships, and he'll be able to see ships that the Columbo won't see, because the Columbo is like 5 clicks back. So the idea is that what you want is you want to be able to spot as many ships. For any one ship that's spotted, you want as many ships on your team to spot them, and you want as few ships on their team to spot your ship. That way you can focus firepower on one ship by a number of ships. And so the Monty really, I think, should be backing up. The Columbo is moving up, and he's probably mindful of the Minotaur, but the Minotaur just gets spotted north of that island in F4, so there's no torp threat unless the Mino torped. The Columbo starts moving up. Right now I think the Monty should back up, but he goes in and he's got 62k, and very soon he'll have 0 hit points left, because he's going to get focused by the Yam, the Mecklenburg. And so right now, I didn't want to charge in because they would just pick me off. And while I have full hit points, I don't think anybody's shot at me yet. This is good because I plan to use those hit points. And by the end of the game, I will have used almost all of them. So, see, right now my Monty is spotted by a bunch of ships. Our Columbo can see these two, but Monty is too deep, and he's just going to die, and he's going to throw his ship away. And that's... You don't really want to do that. I mean, he went from 60k to 0k, and he achieved very little. I think he achieved very little. He could have achieved more if he just hung back. There's no need to push in. But we're trading ships. We're losing on caps. And so the idea is, the sea is being capped by presumably their Columbo. The only way that we could win, and a win is not something I was thinking of at this moment. The only thing way we could win is if we kill them all, or if we kill enough of them to push the points in our favor. So there's 5 of us left, and the Sherman now has 2 kills, so he's starting to even out the odds, and he's doing really good work. There's 4 of us left. The Azuma just killed our Columbo. So see, the Monty went in first, and the Columbo went in first, and what I didn't want is then I would go in again and just get focused, because that Yam is on full health, or close to it. The Azuma I wasn't that worried about. But I think right now, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, that Azuma is going to come into range. Being a little bit passive here, as particularly when I'm watching the replay. But if I had gone further west, then I think I would be unable to affect the positive outcome in this game that I did. This GK just shows up on this side. And me being here puts a lot of pressure on him to stay here and to pay attention to me, as he does. And notice he's got 69k, and I get really lucky with my salvos here. There's an AP salvo, 14k, 3 pens, and just the rear turrets. And I was surprised how little damage, relatively speaking, I took from him, given how much I was able to inflict on him. His secondaries get me a little bit, but his turret angles force him to turn so that he gives quite a lot of broadside. Another 12k salvo. If I can keep pumping out those 12k salvos per 4 shells, I might be able to take it. He's down to 40. 3k, And if I can get upper belt superstructure hit, 9k salvo, I'm feeling a little bit less worried about him now than I was when he first showed up. I'm not getting too greedy with trying to turn and get all my turrets to bear, although a little bit here. That was another 10k, and I think at this point he's definitely gonna go down. He's gonna go down. Only 6k. He kind of whiffs that shot, and then the Columbo shows up. He was the one capping together with the GK, I believe, and he's got 70k. Then there's the Yam, and he's got 70k. So I got 30k, and there's 140k hit points just coming down at me. And Columbo Sap is not something you don't really want to experience when you only have 32k. He could conceivably take a 30k Sap shot at me, but he keeps shooting AP for some reason. It's just not as reliable as Sap. But I don't play the Columbo that much, so perhaps he has a good reason to do so. One of my front turrets gets taken out, but I don't repair because I can't bring it to bear right now anyway, so I'm just gonna let that auto repair itself. I'm gonna try to save my repair for when I'm set on fire. We've got 3 minutes left in the game. We're behind by 140 points. We're even on ships though. Notice the Sherman has 4 kills. I thought that this would be one of those, well, you just hang on, get as much damage as you can, bring a few people down with you, and lose. Because they have the caps. And they have, they have a Yamato, they have a half-health Yamato, they have a half-health Columbo. And they've been both playing well, because they're both still alive. Generally, and they've been engaging the enemy, so they're doing well. But that Yam takes 2 Sherman torps. And notice the Sherman called out, the St. Louis called out that the Yam DCP'd, so I thought I would take a few HE shots at him. He just flooded. If I could set him on fire, he could burn down. I set him on fire, he burns down. Great. The Sherman actually takes him out, and Sherman gets, his Kraken gets his 5 kills, which is fantastic. Now I'm thinking, should I focus on the St. Louis? And I took a few too many shots at the St. Louis here. The Thunderer shell arcs are good, but the St. Louis is pretty mobile, and he can wiggle, and I feel like, in hindsight, I should have focused more on the Columbo, because notice the Columbo keeps shooting AP at me. And basically, I've just forgotten about him. But the other thing I wasn't really paying attention to, although it did cross my mind, is where is their Z? I don't know where their Z is. Their Z was last seen outside of A, and I'm thinking, oh, is he going after me? Where could he be? Well, he'll show up soon. So the Columbo takes a couple of torp hits, and he keeps still firing AP at me. And yeah, you see him flooding. And I think again, if I can set him on fire. Oh, where are those torpedoes coming from? Oh no. I didn't realize that if I had taken one more torp than I did, it would be over. I do realize that now. I'm at 6k. There's the Z. I thought here I was dead, but he missed his salvo there. So I still live. It's 29 seconds left. We're behind 100 points. I keep trying to burn down this Columbo. I keep thinking, should I shoot the DD? Like, there's no point. I have to move my turrets. 11 seconds left. Will this Columbo burn down? I thought game was lost. 2k, 1k, 2 seconds. He burns down. And we win. That was an insane end.